on the fateful morning, we are awoken, well, half awoken by buzzsaws, chainsaws, by people knocking on the door saying the trees are being cut down. I thought I was dreaming. And I was waiting to wake up, but no, this was real. This was real. I'm sorry to have to admit that I wrote to the Telegraph a few weeks before that, and I said what the council's going to do is they're going to come at night and chop our trees down. They're going to rustle our trees away from Rustlings Road, and I just couldn't believe it was happening. It was like a nightmare. And so I would just borrow an expression from today to wind this up quickly. I would borrow an expression. If it doesn't feel right, it's not right. It's wrong. It really is wrong. And the support we've had and our heroes, Jenny and Freda and others, I just take my hat off to them. I take my hat off to them. They are so brave. Thank you.
Woo! Thank you very much, Pat. I'd like to introduce you now to the very famous Professor Jenny Hockey.
Woo!
Okay. Hi everybody. I've just got a few things I wanted to say. Can you all hear? Right. Okay. Yeah, I can. Okay. As Alison said, I'm one of the three people who got arrested that morning, exactly a year ago, together with Freda Brayshaw and another person who decided to help us out. Freda and I were running through the park this morning and just thinking that this was actually a great relief, and for me, you know, a great relief not having to spend the morning locked up in a cold cell without my coat or my phone or my watch, and not having to press the button to get toilet paper, and not having to sit and wait for it for a long time, not having to sit on a lidless toilet feeling anything but private. And I'm sorry if this is too much information, but it's not part of the original story. And I think the question is, what did we achieve by getting arrested? Because partly at the time it felt a bit like sort of running out on this disaster that was unfolding around us. And I've got a very clear memory of sitting in the back of the police car as it drove up that way, sort of up towards Oakbrook Road, and just witnessing, you know, one tree after another with the guys up the trees, and just knowing, you know, that microphone closer to my mouth. Okay, that way. Yes. Right. Okay. Yeah. Oh, well, that's better. Yeah, just sitting in the back of that police car, sort of just flopped there, really, and just seeing one tree after another that was about to come down, and thinking, well, you know, are we just sort of running away from this? When we were released from Shepcott Lane at 1 o'clock that day, there was this kind of media frenzy. You know, the press were waiting. And at the time I thought, oh yeah, this was worth doing, because what people have been saying across those 18 months of campaigning was you need to get the national press much more involved, you need to get the international press, and quite clearly we achieved that. But what I didn't realise at the time was quite how thick-skinned Sheffield City Council are, and that actually didn't really have much sense that they had that sense of shame. Having said that, I am very heartened by the fact that Stag are now again sitting down with Julie Daw and John Mothersole, and the negotiations are ongoing. And I also wanted to take this opportunity to say how hugely we appreciate all the work that's been done since what happened here a year ago, and the people that have picked up the baton and carried on with that.
Hear, hear.
I wanted to say a little bit about why I think this anniversary is really important. This is a sort of personal point of view. What I find really quite scary is that I'm actually beginning to get used to those empty spaces up and down the road. And I think that that's what's really dangerous, is actually getting used to something that you know is very wrong. And I think it's when the powers that be are at their most powerful, when we stop noticing what they're doing to us, and when things are just slipping away. And it was that inspired us to put.
Away from the speaker.
It's that inspired us to put notices on the tree, and if you haven't seen them yet because it's dark, do have a look, because on the saplings that were set up after the destruction of the trees, we've put notices with fabulous photographs of our lovely lost trees taken by Cole Carr from Sort, and we've put pictures of what we've lost so that we do remember, so that Rustlings Road does remember. And then finally, what we need to stick to, keep repeating the message, we need a sustainable approach to the management of the urban forest. We need to keep that canopy cover in place and not kind of, let them make the massive holes in it. We need the tree strategy, as Louise said at the beginning, and we also need to make sure that the council actually puts the pressure on Amy to comply with their contractual obligations and to actually carry out the good practice that they claim to be. So those are the kind of watchwords. Okay, thanks.
Woo! Hooray! Thank you very much, Jenny. That's really important things that you said, and it's really good to share your experience of what actually happened on that day, which is absolutely extraordinary thing to experience, being in a cell for 8 hours for simply trying to protect a tree. It just shows how far gone this council are in their determination to do something that I think we're all here wholeheartedly agree is completely wrong. We have another speaker, a resident. Luke Seed is here. Thank you.
Hi, I actually live at number 203, just behind Ellen, the tree that wasn't cut down. Near the man. Which wasn't cut down on the day. Like everybody else, I was woken up at 5 o'clock by a heavy-handed policeman informing me that I had to move my car. And actually, Ellen would have gone the way of all the other trees if it hadn't been ultimately from my wife who said, we're not allowed to stand in the area, but can we stand on our own property? And the policeman at that point said, yes, that's okay. And as a consequence of that, they stopped work. The problem was it didn't stop them for very long, and then they were back to setting up a cherry picker and chopping off bits of the tree one side, and then they came around the other tree and put the cherry picker above our heads and started cutting down trees directly above our heads. And all the police would say is, oh well, it's not safe, I think you ought to move. Whereas in fact, what they should have been saying to Amy is, hang on a minute, you're not working in a safe way, why don't you stop working? So we've still got the tree. I'm very pleased when I look out the window to see the tree. It's unfortunately it's a shadow of its former self. I'm very sad that the local authority felt it was okay to turn up, in the middle of the night and remove the trees without us really noticing or having a chance to deal with it. I'm very sad that the police felt it was okay to turn up mob-handed and essentially sort of stamp all over our rights as individuals. And since that time, obviously, we've had to keep a car parked by the tree to make sure Amy don't turn up again, and just manage to actually get the tree down. I have been visited through the year by the operations manager for Amy, who said, I'd like to come and discuss how we're going to move forward with the tree. I said, it's very straightforward, you can go away and leave it alone. And he said, but if we don't cut the tree down, we won't be able to resurface the pavement or anywhere along Rustlings Road. And I suppose if my neighbours come and ask me to you know, move the car and let you in, then fine, I'll do that. As it turns out, they did manage to resurface the road, though we do actually have a lovely section of legacy pavement just outside 203, showing you how it was in the bad old days. I'm very surprised, I must say, that Amy haven't been back in the intervening year to take the tree down, and I'd like to think that we could actually keep that tree and every other tree as time goes by. I mean, I am disheartened whenever I walk through Nether Edge and see the number of trees that are marked for destruction by Amy. It's a very sad state of affairs.
We're not going to get them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Luke. I'm not surprised at all that they haven't taken that tree, and I think it's a real symbol for the campaign, and I hope that we can protect it until it's ready to die of natural causes. I'd like to introduce now Shafak Mohammed. He's your local councillor here, and he was very much part of the day and what was going on, and taken by complete surprise as much as everyone else, I think.
Thank you, Alison. Well, I was walking out of my bed. I mean, those colleagues that know me will know I'm not a great early riser, but that day I was just getting countless calls from numbers I've never had calls from before, and it was the good folk of Rustlins Road who were, you know, clearly distressed, dismayed, angry about what was happening. And I quickly, I think I had a call from Alison as well, to liaise with Alison, who's a colleague of mine. I would say we're under opposition, different parties, but on this issue we are against what the council is doing. And I arrived here, and I remember coming through Hunter's Bar, and I was just amazed by the flashing of yellow and blue lights. It seemed like there'd been a massive terror raid or something on this street, a massive national issue. And then when you find out that it's actually Sheffield City Council, who had lost its moral compass that morning, decided to use the police at 5 o'clock and lied to the police, if somebody says, who turned up and actually basically bullied the way around this street to get the trees that they wanted. And it's the tribute of Luke and the other members of his family that, you know, stood their ground, and we've managed to save one tree. But clearly, look, this issue I thought was bad, and we made the news for all the wrong reasons, and I thought it can't get any worse. But you know what, it has. The City Council has continued along this path. It's not learned any lessons. It's took out a civil injunction. It's tried to criminalise one of its own councillors. It's threatened another one with imprisonment now, and it's just carrying on. I heartened that it started to have a dialogue with Stag, but the core investment period is due to end in end of December. So, you know, if it was going to have a chance to review itself, it should have reviewed its practices last year. And, you know, I think we need to stand firm. Those trees that are still standing in Nether Edge and Door, etc., are unique trees. The Vernon Oak, you know, the tree at Chelsea, the road, are unique, not just to this city but this country, and they have to be saved. And Sheffield City Council has to change tack. So we, on behalf of you as residents, will continue to fight against what we think are the wrongs of this council, and I hope we can enjoy your support, and we will continue to support Stag, Sort and any other group, whether it's Mill Houses, the Vernon Oak or the Nether Edge group, because that's what our role is as city councils. And I think some councillors have forgot that they're the voice of the people into the council. They're not just the council's voice out to the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheffield. I just noticed that Natalie Bennett's been up at Kirby Misperton today, and she's managed to get it back in time for this rally, so I'd just like to invite her to say a few words as well.
Thanks very much, Alison, and I guess like everyone, I've been reflecting on that day a year ago, and what I remember first was I was actually on the train up from London. I think it was the 9 o'clock train, and my Twitter feed and my text messages just suddenly went absolutely bonkers. And I thought, what on earth is happening? And by the time I got to Sheffield, I'd found out. I was then on BBC Radio Sheffield immediately, and then I was here.